that's saying, hey, screw American sports fans. These streaming services and these foreign countries are going to pour more money into the NBA. And as long as we're cutting a check, who cares whether American sports fans like the NBA? Maybe LeBron James isn't stupid. Maybe he's just chosen globalism and says, hey, there's more money. And maybe the players have all said there's more money in a global NBA rather than a domestic NBA.
Jason Whitlock goes off on the NBA. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
This thing of 10-minute quarters, I think it's confirmation. It's confirmation from the highest office that this league is in free fall, and it has nothing to offer now that LeBron James is past his prime, Stephen Curry's past his prime, Kevin Durant is past his prime. You got a group of foreigners waiting in the wing, and that just won't play with a American audience. And so, again, he's transitioning to make this even more of an international league, including adopting the international length of quarters. He's just given up on America. And maybe, again, if he survives, maybe he's just a reflection of ownership that's saying, hey, screw American sports fans. These streaming services and these foreign countries are going to pour more money into the NBA. And as long as we're cutting a check, who cares whether American sports fans like the NBA?
That's what it's looking like. It looks like Adam Silver wants to cater to that overseas international audience by having 4 10-minute quarters. The league is going to struggle when LeBron James, the Steph Currys, Kevin Durant's, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, the stars over the last 15 to 20 years, once they walk out the door, it's definitely going to be a struggle for the NBA. That's why I think Adam Silver is trying his best to pivot now while he still has LeBron and still has those other stars and implement more international rules. There's a lot of great international players out there and currently in the NBA. Why not cater to them now before they get into the league so they can take off once they enter the NBA? So it's a strategic move by Adam Silver.
Wow, so screw America, it's about globalization. Kind of sounds like our last presidential administration. Wow, so this guy's like the bald Biden. Here's the reality, Jason.
Shots.
International market and the television rights across the world, they are doing very well. Maybe America does not matter. So maybe this is our problem that we no longer care about, and there's great apathy. But think about this, and this is something that I said a couple of weeks ago. During the heyday of my NBA fandom with Magic, Bird, Michael Jordan, Dr. J, Hakeem Olajuwon.
Golden era.
Nobody ever said two things. Number one, we need less games. And number two, let's make the game shorter. Could you imagine telling people in Chicago, not only you're going to get 2 less minutes of Michael Jordan every quarter, you're going to get only 65 games. That is a tacit admittance. Our product stinks.
Yeah, that's the thing. I forgot about the 65 game rule that they're trying to implement. So not only do you want to lower the game to 4 10-minute quarters, now you want to implement the 65 game rule. So it's just a lot going on with the NBA. And again, it's going to be a struggle. I see what Adam Silver's trying to do. Don't get me wrong. Maybe he's right. But you got to factor in the betting, sports betting. A lot of fans putting billions of dollars into the NBA via these sports apps. So do you really want to take away 8 minutes, which could influence the game to go either way? Yeah, the product may be better. If you lower the games to 65 and take away 8 minutes, maybe players don't get injured as much, but you're going to ruin a lot of stuff outside of the game of basketball. So that's something that Adam Silver should think about as well.
And there's no fixing it, Jason. That is the reality. We could talk about it. We could talk about all these solutions, but there are no solutions. It's broken, and I think it's broken forever.
Look, I think it's analogous. I think you make a great point. What's going on in the NBA is analogous with what's going on in American politics. You have a populist nationalist movement called America First up against globalism. And so maybe LeBron James isn't stupid. Maybe he's just chosen globalism and says, hey, there's more money. And maybe the players have all said there's more money in a global NBA rather than a domestic NBA.
That's true. A lot of money is overseas, a lot of money outside of the NBA. You got China, you got those huge countries to where let's tap into that money now. So it's all a money game, of course, at the end of the day. Yeah, you may take a hit with the sports gambling and betting, but you can make a lot of money in the near future if you just open the game up more internationally. So money talks and BS walks.
And look, there are people that are saying, look at what the NFL is doing with all of these international football games. They're trying to do the same thing.
Facts.
And so
Real talk.
when I look at these sports leagues, and then I look at someone like Adam Silver or David Stern, I think these are people that believe in globalism, and they're a reflection of where a lot of people are, and particularly certain demographics that believe in globalism far more than Americanism. We got a guy that, Anthony Mackie, hey, Captain America doesn't represent America. There are many people in America who just don't believe in America and think they're going to be better off in some global society. And I do think elites will be. Anthony Mackie, LeBron James, but 96% of America is going to suffer and is suffering as we go more and more global.
Every sports league wants to tap into that international market. You even heard rumors or reports that Maverick Carter's trying to start a rival league internationally. So that's where the market's at. That's where the future market is at. We've had a lot of great stars come from overseas and they're taking over the NBA. Nikola Jokic, Giannis, just to name a few. You got some players from Canada as well, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So tapping into that international market is going to open up a lot of revenue. So every sports league is trying to do that.
I don't disagree. And you kind of look at what the renaissance of the NBA, what took place in the late 70s throughout the 80s. Man, I miss the good old days when everyone was just coked up. You know, because at least those coked up players, at least they fought hard, they played together, and there was a sense of continuity. Every team had an identity. But this is something you cannot get over, Jason. If your players and the teams and the organization and the coaches tell you that games from early November all the way till about late March do not matter, you cannot fix that. You can't. And I don't know what can be done. I mean, do you rip up the CBA? Do the owners have the guts to actually have a lockout and blow this whole thing up? Do the Players Association give back any of the rights that they have fought for 45, 50 years? I mean, look, you can strike a balance here in terms of player empowerment and the owners still having a little bit of control. Because at the end of the day, you know who kind of matters too? The fans. The fans actually matter. And I'm not telling anyone what to do with their discretionary income or their free time. But if you are a disgruntled patron of that league, I would stop supporting it.
That's what it's going to come down to. A lot of people ain't going to rock with the NBA. You're starting to see it now. And you can't fix that problem from October to March where no one's really checking for the NBA. You got to think when you have these nationally televised games. Recently, we had the Lakers versus the 76ers. You're missing Paul George and Joel Embiid. So, of course, the viewership is going to tank when you don't have your major players playing in these major games. So you can lessen the minutes to 4 10-minute quarters. You can put 65 games in a season. All that you're trying to do is masking the real issue. Stars aren't playing, and it's affecting the NBA.
I don't keep throwing good money after bad. I know I made that choice long ago. I don't know if I'm ever going to come back. My life is just fine without the NBA. I could watch a bunch of Michael Jordan videos on YouTube, and I'm good with my basketball film.
Classic.
I actually, this thing is actually irretrievably broken.
I think you may be right. I don't think the NBA cares because as I just think more and more and have this conversation more and more, the NBA has decided it's going to be an international league, and I think they're going to position the WNBA as a domestic league. And so you're going to, again, it's like they feel like they got both bases covered. The global league will be dominated by men. The domestic league will be dominated by women, primarily lesbians, and it will be more of a tool to subvert American culture, subvert the patriarchy here domestically, The NBA has already been totally turned out and converted to the globalism model, and they'll use the WNBA and the Caitlin Clarks and the Asia Wilsons and the Kelsey Plums and whoever else I can't remember in the Brittany Griners, the Diana Taurasi's, to continue to shape the minds and the mindsets of young American women. The more masculine you are, the more of a feminist you are, the more of a hero you are. And so again, the WNBA and all the commercial and all the marketing will be about these strong masculine women that are feminists and blah, blah, blah. It's actually, it's a brilliant strategy for evil in my mind. But I do think that is the strategy.
So the NBA, they're being real strategic right now. They're willing to take a hit with the U.S. market just to amplify the international market. So they know they're going to lose fans if they start implementing these new rules. They're willing to take that hit because they know it's so much money overseas. So I get that point with Jason Whitlock. So it is what it is with the NBA. Again, it's going to be a struggle when your stars over the last 20 years leave the NBA and retire. So they're trying their best now. Let's go ahead and pivot. Again, while we have the main players in the NBA, that's going to fill in a void. So we'll see what happens moving forward with the NBA and if they go international.